You ever see a big headline, something happening on the complete other side of the world, and kind of just shrug? It feels so far away, right? Like it couldn't possibly have anything to do with your budget. Well, the truth is, these global events have a direct line to our daily lives, in ways we might not see at first. So how does that actually work? Let's trace that path from the headline all the way to your household.
It sounds like a huge leap, doesn't it? The idea that some conflict thousands of miles away could actually change the price of your milk or your bread. But that connection, it's very, very real. And you might be surprised by how direct it is. We're going to break down exactly how it all works. So the key to all this is a concept called geopolitical economy. And I know, that sounds super complicated, but stick with me. It's really just a fancy way of saying that big world events, conflicts, trade deals, that kind of thing, and the economy are basically two sides of the same coin. They're completely tangled up together. It's the framework that helps us see how a problem out there ends up right here in our wallets.
Okay, so to really see this in action, we need a real world, or at least a realistic example. The source material we're looking at lays out a hypothetical conflict in 2026 involving Iran. This scenario is perfect because it lets us walk through, step by step, how this whole chain reaction gets started.
So what's the spark? Well, in this scenario, it's a major military confrontation. We're talking large-scale strikes by the US and Israel, which are then answered with Iranian retaliation across the entire region. And this is the crucial part. This isn't just a local fight. No, this is the first domino, and it's about to set off a whole global chain reaction.
All right, so the conflict erupts. Now what? This is where that global ripple effect really kicks in. Think of it like dropping a huge rock into a perfectly still pond. That one event in one part of the world starts sending shockwaves out through our incredibly complex, interconnected systems. Let's follow that chain of events and see how a regional conflict snowballs into a global economic headache.
And here's pretty much how it always goes. First, you have the international conflict itself. That immediately spooks the global trade and energy markets. Nobody knows what's going to happen next. That uncertainty, that fear, leads directly to step 3, a huge spike in global oil prices. And that is the exact moment this big, global problem starts knocking on your front door.
Let's just double-click on that second step for a second, the shaken markets. When a conflict breaks out in a really critical part of the world, all of a sudden, major shipping lanes can become dangerous, or maybe even get shut down completely. This throws a huge wrench in the works for the flow of goods, and most importantly, the flow of oil. You have to understand, energy markets absolutely hate uncertainty. Even the hint of a supply problem is enough to send them into a panic.
Okay, so this brings us to the real heart of the matter, the part that actually affects you. How do these rattled global markets translate to the price tag on, a gallon of milk? Let's draw a straight line from these big global events right to your daily budget. All right, here's the first and most obvious connection. Global oil prices shoot up, right? Well, that means the cost to make and move gasoline goes up too. And guess who pays for that extra cost? Yep, you do. It gets passed on almost immediately. This is the first place you're going to feel that pinch every single time you go to fill up your car.
But it doesn't stop at the gas pump. Not even close. I mean, think about it for a second. Everything, and I mean everything you buy at the store had to get there somehow, right? It was on a truck, or a ship, or a train, and all of those things run on fuel. So when the cost of transport goes up, the cost of delivering everything from apples to toilet paper goes up too. And that is a huge reason why all of a sudden your grocery bill is creeping higher and higher.
And on top of those really obvious price hikes, there are these other kind of hidden effects. Soaring energy costs can actually weaken a country's currency, which makes anything we import even more expensive. Plus, it creates a ton of uncertainty for local businesses. They might hold off on hiring a new person or opening a new location because they have no idea what their own costs are going to look like next week, let alone next year.
So, let's zoom out. What's the big takeaway from all this? It really shows us that in today's world, this super-connected global economy, the old idea that what happens over there stays over there is just, well, it's not true anymore. In fact, if there's one thing that defines our modern economy, it's how fast and how hard these shocks can travel from one side of the planet to the other.
So let's just run through the tangible impacts one more time just to lock it in. We've got higher costs at the fuel pump, we've got rising prices at the grocery store, we've got pressure on our currency, making things more expensive, and we've got more uncertainty for the businesses right here in our own communities, all from one event, far away.
Look, if there is one crucial thing to take away from all this, it's this. Distant geopolitical conflicts do not stay distant. They just don't. What happens on the world stage, no matter how remote it might feel, eventually finds its way into our local economies and ultimately into our daily lives.
And that, right there, is why this matters so much. When you boil it all down, these massive global forces are often what's determining whether daily life feels affordable and stable or expensive and unpredictable. It's a pretty powerful reminder that in this world of ours, everything and everyone is connected.